Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another show, yet another episode of the CXO Show. My name is Swapnil Kamat, and I'm shooting this my favorite CXO show after a long time, a couple of weeks, I think, and I've really missed it. And therefore, I'm very happy to have Kejal Thakkar on the show. How are you, Kejal?
I'm good. Thank you so much, Swapnil.
Are you as excited as me to be on the show? Be honest.
Absolutely. This is my first time to interact with you and definitely to be on the show. So I'm equally excited.
Yeah, cool. Thank you very much. Good to hear that. Like I say very often, this is a show, the CXO Show features some of India's most successful professionals it's supposed to feature a wide array of domains, but as we love our learning and development and HR folks so much, we tend to get a lot of them on the CXO Show because just like I was sharing with Kejal, I think that HR and L&D has so many insights on how organizations work, how careers function, who gets hired, who doesn't get hired, what skills are in demand. So there's so much that you'll bring to the table that can be so valuable to a young person listening. And that's one of the reasons why we love bringing you all on this particular show. But thank you for taking our invite. As usual, Kejal, I'm going to start by reading a quick introduction that may sound a little formal, but it'll at least let people know a little about you. So don't mind the formality, and then we'll go back to being our candid selves on this particular show, right? So Kejal Thakkar is the Chief Manager, Human Resources at Piramal Group. She has more than 18 years of diverse experience in corporate HR, talent management, industrial relations, and Center of Excellence roles in the pharmaceutical industry. She has held key HR portfolios in organizations like GSK, Abbott Healthcare, and Glenmark Pharmaceuticals prior to her current role at the Piramal Group. Kejal is an alumni of Mumbai University with an MBA in Human Resources. In her current stint at Piramal Group, Kejal has done a commendable job on strategic human resources. She has also been a vocal champion of diversity, inclusion, belonging, and accessibility initiatives at the company. As a prominent HR professional, Kejal has plenty of feathers on her cap. She has been felicitated as a future HR leader by Jombe HR 40 under 40. She's been recognized by ETHR World in the Emerging Leaders League for her exceptional work and for creating an impact personally and professionally through her leadership. Kejal, you had an outstanding career so far, and I'm excited to see what you have to say on the CXO show that can help people.
Definitely.
Okay. So, Kejal, of course, I've read your introduction, but give us a little bit of background of how you landed up in this particular role, right? Tell us about, where you went to college, then your journey from your first job onwards. What really happened that got you to this particular senior position? So tell us about that first.
Great, Swapnil. Thanks for this opportunity. I'm really excited to have this discussion with upGrad for Business. So when I talk about diversity, right, I think I have actually faced that when I was growing up, coming from a Gujarati family, where we were not encouraged to have a formal education, right? So the entire discussion in a joint family would be to do your graduation, get settled in life, get married. And I think that really pinched me when I used to see my cousins, my sisters doing the same mundane thing. And I was really terrified that this is not what I want. I want to be different. And I think that's where it kickstarted that I would not go with the routine life. And I pursued my master's, convinced my family to allow me to do a career, do my master's, and go out of Mumbai for my first job through campus, right?
Amazing.
So I think that's the effort. And today when I talk about diversity, I completely relate what I had been through some 14, 15 years back, right in 2006, 7. But yes, with blessing of my grandparents, I moved and landed into corporate world. And that's where the journey starts, I would say. So it was not that easy convincing family, which is a businessman family, to take science as a career, then moved into graduation. I did my graduation in food technology.
Got it.
Which was again not a routine graduation, and then did my master's. And after my master's in HR, I did not stop. I also persuaded my labor laws master's, after which I also did a lot of certifications. I think it's learning is a journey, and that keeps me going. And that's where today I am. I keep enhancing my skills every time, every year. So
Amazing.
that's
It's so glad to hear, right? You started off in a note where there's so much to learn for people, right? Of course, 15 years back, India was so different than what it is, right? Culturally, also, I'm sure the problems that a lot of us face 15 to 20 years back, maybe they're there in large pockets still of India, but I think there's been a huge change. But I think it's so important for each and every person to forge their own way. It's just very, very important that even if you're the loved ones around you that mean well very often, right? It's not that they don't mean well, or it's not that they want to keep you in a box in some way, right? But
yes.
they think that is the right thing to do often. But it's just important for every young woman or young man to nudge your family a little, push them a little, be polite while doing it, be loving while doing it, but go and do your own thing in the end, right? Because what's worse than living with regrets, no, Kejal?
Absolutely. So challenging the status quo and pushing to the limits is what I've always been following, which
Yeah,
has helped me
absolutely.
today.
Yeah, and my opinion of it very often is all of that can be done with a lot of love, with a lot of respect, with a lot of politeness. All those things are possible, which often we tend to forget, right? So Kejal, were you very clear on getting into HR from the word go, or did you land into the HR field by mistake? Which one of them are you?
No, it was from the day go, I would say, because I was very social since my, teenage days, and I had seen a business family taking decisions. So I think that's the root, right? That
Mm,
I want to be in a role where I'm more of a strategic partner. I want to be in a role where I want to decide, deal with people in the organization. And I had seen when, we grow as a business also, when I'd seen my father talking to the employees, I feel business doesn't serve people. It is employees who
mm,
serve, right? And
yeah.
business don't make products. It is employee
Yeah.
who actually manufacture and work. So I
Yeah.
think that was my kick and triggering factor to join HR as a profession and choose that as my stream to
Mm.
move ahead
Got
and
it.
work with employees.
Very interesting. So I come from a business family myself, right?
Oh,
Therefore, my question from there: do you think in your current role as as an HR leader, your business family background, does it help? Does it not help? If it helps, where does it help in specific?
I think it's really very helpful. It gives you an entrepreneurial mindset. You take
Mm,
decisions as if it is your own business. You see
mm,
what is at stake when you take a decision for the organization. Because
mm,
Piramal is also a business-led, a business family-led business, and it is very imperative that one of our value system also talks about trusteeship. So
mm,
it's very important that these kind of values get imbibed right when
mm,
you are in your upbringing, and this really helps to take a lot of decisions. You know how to deal with your employees, you know what is the importance of every employee in your
mm.
business and how it can actually build that manpower chain and support your employee value proposition. So it helps. The entrepreneurial mindset really helps.
Yeah, for sure. I think it helps too, right? I think often dinner table conversation in business families is very, very different, right? It's often you just talk about work and not really work. That's your life in some way, right? So you're talking about life, which happens to be the business, right? And you get a good inside view into how your family are taking decisions. So the one thing that I often find, people that come from business backgrounds like you are a lot more decisive in nature, because I think that has been second nature to us as we grew. So I think definitely some advantages there of coming from a business family. Ketal, as an HR leader, what are the 2 or 3 things that currently keep you up at night, right? What are the things that are most worrying? And I'm not really talking about your business in specific, right? I'm just saying today as an HR leader, what are the 2 or 3 things that keep you all up at night?
I would say a lot on dependency on the data and
Mm,
analytics, I would say, because
mm,
every decision that we take should be data driven. So
mm,
what keeps us awake is that I hope I'm taking a right decision, and I need a data behind to support that,
mm,
which means we have integrated a lot of our system processes with analytics. So analytics plays a key role, and each time I see how I can imbibe the analytics or artificial intelligence system into my decision making.
Mm,
If I have to drive incentives for the people, how that would be integrated. If I have to see an attrition trend, how I
mm,
see that, the AI can today help me to
mm,
drive, and how I can mitigate the plans to see
mm,
it is helping us. If I have to
mm,
talk about my L&D, all the talent management processes have really been supported by the AI technology that we have. So I think it's
mm,
a lot to do with thinking on what next we can do to ensure that the
mm.
man hours get reduced with the use of technology.
Correct. So that's one thing that's really at the forefront of your thought, so to speak, right? What are the other areas that are, say, not keeps you up at night as an HR leader today, besides this one?
To bring an outside-in perspective, what different I can bring it on the table to my organization, which will really help my employees to scale better, to be more productive. So I keep
Mm,
thinking, what are the best ways where I can be innovative, fight the competition, or actually be there? Because we are an organization which keeps launching new products every point
mm,
of time,
mm,
and the cross-functional teams are involved. So collaboration is very important. How I can
mm.
see what is happening in the industry, what are the market trends, and how I can bring that inside. So
Got it.
constantly keep checking on the outside in perspective.
Got it. Got it. And how can you tell the audience a little bit about, a couple of things that would help in, because this is, I'm sure, a burning problem with so many different people. So how do you make that happen? If you could just
Right.
share an example.
Right. So I
Just
think
a
what's
broad one, right? Just broad strokes of what helps bring an outside in perspective.
right. I think it's very, very important first to understand the business that we are into,
Correct.
and then see vis-a-vis where in the industry what is happening. So
Mm,
strategic business alignment is very important.
mm,
Understanding how the employees and the talent strategies are there in the market.
mm,
What is the best talent mapping in across? How I can see the best fitment who is there in the market can come and bring the improvement in my organization. How can I
mm,
integrate the best of the technology to
mm,
enhance and upskill employees here? And
mm,
very, very important thing, I think what is really important today is the diversity and equity piece. So
mm,
that also really plays a very imperative role when you have to grow as
mm,
an organization. So how as an
mm,
HR I can support my business,
mm,
bring the perspective of the industry, bring the best of the talent, bring diversity, and
mm.
ensure we have the employee who perform better and bring a lot of changes in the organization.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So, you mentioned towards the start the multiple certifications that you have, both in your formal education to start with, and then continually you've educated yourself, right? Formally. Um, in today's world, and my question is specific to a young professional entering the workforce, or who's just entered the workforce, what would you say are the three skills that are the most important skills that they require in today's day and age?
Right. I think it is very interesting when we talk, when we go to management institutes, give sessions, do campus placement. Continuous learning is very important.
Mm,
Whether it is technology, they are very fortunate. They have technology as a platform. They have online courses which are there. So one is embrace learning and keep continuously learning with the market trends, what's there.
yeah.
Second is very important to build network and build relations. I
Mm,
think 2 decades back, we didn't have Insta, LinkedIn as a platform, right? But today that is available.
got it.
Try to, sorry, bring in a lot of networking.
Mm,
See the HR professionals who are there, join associations, groups, or
mm,
events where you can engage with the HR committee and the HR leaders or
got
any
it.
other business leader,
Got it.
and embrace technology.
Got it.
Technology will help them familiarize with different software. Automation will help them bring a lot of decisions in place. So I
Correct.
think continuous learning, building networks, and embracing the technology are three keys for becoming successful, and that will keep them always adaptable and on the toes.
Got it. Very interesting. So you have been a big fan of continual learning, relationship building. I thought that was an extremely good point, right? Because I think in today's day and age, given the amount of tools that you have, building relationships both within the organization and outside of the organization is something very important. I guess most work within an organization, if you want to reduce frictions both inter-team and across teams, the oil in a way that reduces the friction is often the relationships that you have within your company or outside the company, right? If you don't have them, getting anything done, especially in large companies like yours and mine, is just so difficult, right? So for sure, that relationship building. And I couldn't agree with you more on embracing technology, right? Each and every young person that's coming into the workforce, what I'd always say to them is, in today, it doesn't matter what your background is, right? You could be a hospitality graduate, you could be a lawyer, you could be a salesperson, or you could be a marketer. What your field is today just does not matter. Whatever your field is, be
Absolutely.
comfortable with using technology. And using technology doesn't mean that you're a coder, right? Or
Yes, right.
doesn't mean that you're a mechanical engineer. That's not what it means. There are so many tools that
Right.
are there out there, and be at least the expert of that particular tool in your industry, and that matters, I think, so much. Wouldn't you agree, Kejal?
Absolutely. We can hire the best of the professionals to do the
Yeah,
coding for us, right?
yeah,
All
yeah,
we need to understand is how do you get the work done? How do you get the simplification of the work done and give them
yeah,
ideas which
yeah.
can simplify the business problems.
Yeah. And I think in each and every field today, especially earlier, you spoke about AI and the importance of data analytics and AI in some way. I've said this quote so many times now on the show, which say, I don't remember who said this, but AI won't replace you, but a person that's well versed with AI will,
Yes.
right?
Right.
So I find there to be so much of merit in that in that statement, and I totally agree with you. I'd ask people to embrace the three things that you mentioned wholeheartedly to see career progress, right? Tell me, Kejal, as a young HR professional, right? Beyond the three things, because here I was speaking more about just anybody entering the workforce. But what do you think is important today for a young HR professional, right? What would you say are the 2 or 3 skills or behaviors that they need
Right.
to have a career which is as outstanding as yours?
Right. I would say if you still call me young, because I've been
Ah,
acknowledged for 40 under 40, that still
yeah.
decides I'm young.
Yeah.
So very important is stakeholder management.
Okay.
Right? How do you build the formal and informal relation while you enter the organization? Because you're
Got
very
it.
new, you don't know how does the hierarchy follows in the organization. You still want to build rapport, build relationship. Sorry, you want to work with cross-functional teams, right?
Mm,
So stakeholder management becomes very important here.
got it. What else would you say for a young HR professional is important?
I think an appetite to learn
Mm,
over and above your role, that's also very
mm,
important. How
mm,
do you collaborate with different stakeholders? How do you,
mm,
for example, if you are a salesperson, right, or you've just joined the
mm,
marketing team, how do you ensure, how does the product line operate? How does the quality insurance team work around it? How does the packaging team work around your product line? So
mm,
it's all about working throughout the employee chain, employee life cycle, and different cross functions. So
mm,
it's not restricted to your work, but understanding
mm,
before and after also really helps. So it's
mm,
keen interest in every process and system of the organization. Going
mm,
beyond is
mm.
very important.
Very interesting. I think every time I ask senior HR people like you this question, often they have the same answer, right? And that therefore I find it so interesting that it's important for a young HR professional, young or old HR professional, to get a very good understanding of the business, plain and
Yes.
simple, right? So if you're going to be working with the sales team, don't just think of the HR angle when it comes to that, right? Understand, like you mentioned, the product, and ensure that you understand the sales cycle, right? Go to a few market visits with the
Yes.
salesperson, right? And understand what their life actually is, because otherwise it just seems like, HR is sitting in their lovely HR AC offices, right?
Correct.
And then we're often accused of just doing rangoli for employee engagement activities, right? But it's just so important, I guess, for HR professionals to go out there and really understand the world of the people that they're dealing with. So I thought that was an excellent point.
Absolutely. And also as an HR, we have a lot of different domains, right? We have right
Yeah,
from onboarding, recruitment to talent management processes, performance management.
yeah,
So today, the young talent should not restrict themselves to say, I really want only this, right? And when
yeah,
we often talk to HR professionals or any professional, we say sky is the limit, right?
yeah.
You should not be choosing what you want. Enter into the organization, see what's it in for you, learn everything, and then you decide where your flair is. And and then it's a win-win for all of us. And when we talk about marketing professionals, I say, sale to karna padega. You will have to get on the ground. You'll have to soil your hands and get your hands dirty, right? And even as an HR professional, interestingly, what we do is we have curated a management training program where they actually do 3 months of sales, right? Only then they come to HR, because only when they understand how the organization business generates from, they will be able to sit and decide the strategy.
Correct. Absolutely. That's amazing. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, right? I think that's the best way of doing management development programs. That's where the rubber meets the road in some way, right? And if you're not going to actually go and do that, it's impossible for you to really take those decisions. So I think it's well thought through by you and your organization in terms of what you do, right? Kejal, tell me, Kejal, what changes have you seen in the workplace, like pre and post COVID as a phenomena, right? What are the 2 or 3 major changes that you're seeing in the people that you're dealing with right now?
I think with COVID, with the pandemic, a very, very important thing that has come up today is how do you manage your hybrid working environment? Because often there are employees now that they need flexibility when they work, right? The demands have changed. Employees are ready to, compromise on the perks, but they want flexibility, right? Getting people engaged together on one forum is a real difficult challenge. So I think this is going to be one of the challenges. However, there are plans, we are working towards it. And what's very, very important is that, employees are connected with the leaders, be it hybrid working or be it they are working in the office. How do you build trust? I think it would start from there. How do you build trust? And you see that irrespective of employees working from home, working remotely, employee is doing and fulfilling their KRA. That should be important rather than managing their time to time daily work activities. So I think this is one important challenge I think most of us as an HR professionals are facing. And what we say, you should have trust, have conversation more about what are the challenges that employees are facing when they're doing hybrid work. Why do they need hybrid work, or they want to work remotely? Build upon that, support them, and then let's have conversations which are more of KRA driven, goal driven, which will help them to keep on the track and bring them to the pace of the work. So that's very, very important today. So that's one change, big change that we have seen. And second, very important change, which I've been, I'm fascinated about it, is the technology and the AI piece. We have literally embedded a lot of our processes through our in-house data analytics team, right? So if I have to talk about a very simple process of creating goals for everybody in the organization, we've simply picked up the last year goals and try to create something as a ready reckoner for our leadership to see. If I have to talk about my individual development plans post the performance process, right? So the AI tool has helped me give a skeleton to it. I go back to the business, say, this is what is available. Please put the flesh to it. The skeleton is ready for you, right? So these are new things that we are coming up and this is the need of the hour. You get readily available the flesh and blood. It's just to then customize with your employee and hand it over that this is your IDP. So these are very, very important things now that we need to develop and leverage and use upon.
Got it. I think the whole piece of hybrid that you're speaking to is and you later mentioned you started with hybrid and then say it's more people are looking for flexibility, right? I think everyone that we speak to, that has emerged as a big theme, that what's important to people today is flexibility, and they're ready to compromise on so many things for that particular flexibility.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people that have come on this show have also spoken about a raised sense of awareness that a lot of employees and organizations have today, right? They're a lot more demanding, is what has been said. A lot more demanding, a lot more aware about what they want, which, like I keep saying, I think that's a huge positive, because it will definitely help create a better working environment for people. It will definitely help in giving them an overall sense of work-life balance and therefore longevity when it comes to their careers. But have you seen a similar trend too?
Yes, interestingly, what we have done is post-COVID, we have decided and we have carved out the rules which can permanently go on work from home, work remotely. Employees who can work on hybrid, where we see if the stakeholders are there in office, they need to only come at a minimum amount of time. So we have carved out those roles and decided that which are the roles that really need to be on the field, because we are a sales-driven organization, sales employees need to be there on the ground.
Got it.
Employees who are supporting can work hybrid, and employees who are completely on the back end can completely work remotely. So these, otherwise we would have not been, this could not be in a normal phase. But COVID has given us a thought, it's okay, right? You reduce the office space and you give them a remote working. That's completely fine. So those things have become acceptable now in the organization.
Got it. That's very interesting. Kejal, as the leader of people yourself, right? What are your leadership mantras? How do you get the best out of your team members? If you have to share a few things, what would those few things be?
I think it's all about bringing everybody and winning together, right? So I empower my team, and I want my team to win throughout, which means if I have a KPI to drive, I would just share my expectation and leave them to drive it. So it's all about giving them empowerment, and accountability comes with empowerment. So giving them that, and I think I have had a successful team who's driving, working for the sales organization. So it's empowering them, having trust in them, and only guiding and pitching wherever it is required. And recognition is very, very important.
Got it.
Empowerment really plays a big role in driving the team.
Correct. Tell us a little more for somebody that's listening to this and says, how do you go about empowering people, Kejal? You're making it sound all so simple. We know how tough it is to actually lead teams and get the best out of them. When we empower people, a lot of people say it backfires on us. So how do you ensure, what do you do in specific to empower your people?
All right. So when I have a business idea or I have to drive a project, I would really sit with my team, ask them to brainstorm on the ideas, that how do we execute this project? What are the things that they can do to support and bring it to the best, right? So we jot down the ideas, and then we decide which team member would contribute at which phase. So basis their nomination, I would ask them, you nominate at which phase of this project you want to lead. So it is voluntary, it is not forced to them upon, and it is their interest. And then we execute the timelines around it, which also comes from them. A buy-in is always there when they talk about this, right? And we bring in a lot of creativity around that. So when this kind of a formal process is there, where you involve the team, and at the end, I only have to mention, this is a timeline, this is the expectation, let's go around it. What's very important is informally check with each team member later on, how they are doing, how they are coping up, right? As a team together, you empower them. But when you know what are the strengths and areas of development of your each team member, spend separate time with them to understand how are they coping up, are they facing any challenge, and again, right, recircle back after interval, and then you see the progress. So I think that's all about empowering for them. They feel I've given them a complete freedom. But in silos, I spend time individually with them and check how are they doing and coping up. So it's all about that I'm supporting rather than I'm trying to kind of monitor their progress. So for them, it's I'm supporting, but for me, I'm trying to just monitor the progress individually then.
Correct. What an interesting way. I think that's such a nice way of thinking about the issue, right? Because on one side, the way you're going about delegating a task, like you said, right, by giving them the details around it, telling them the KPIs, the end objectives that you have, making that completely clear, yet not being too nosy, right, as a boss, and interfering in everything that your people are doing, and yet being a guide, a mentor, a support through them, and through that process, of course, understanding what where they're up to, where they're making progress, not making progress, right? I love this. There's a very nice quote that says 90% of what we call management is us getting in the way of our people doing their jobs, right? So very often what we think we're doing to get the best out of people often is obstructing them from doing their job. So I really like your entire thought on empowering. You also spoke about recognition. So tell us a little more about that. What do you do on how do you go about recognizing people that really works in you driving the results that you want?
Well, I think there are various formal and informal platforms available. A formal platform that we have, Piramal Excellence Award, to nominate the best of the projects, which is quarterly, biannually, and annually. We also have in-house developed, small cards which talks about a well-done card. You provide a gesture, you acknowledge the best work done, and then you display. However, what's very important is that a small wins, we reconvene as a team and we share with each other what he or she has done and really applaud for that. And at a later stage, that is also been kind of highlighted to the leaders,
Got it.
the business which gets impacted with this kind of a project. So leaders also appreciate. That's very, very important, that not only HR or as a manager I do, but the work is being appreciated by the business leader. So I
Got
think
it.
those bring a lot of confidence in the team member, that my manager has supported me and my stakeholders also appreciated. That
Got it.
brings in a lot of confidence. And I have a very strong supporter of one of the books that I've read, The Professionals by Subrata Bagchi in my early stage, which talks about what a true professional is, right? He or she should be working as if he's always been monitored by a manager, in absence of a manager. So you always work and you have completely taken over the work, irrespective somebody's monitoring you or not monitoring you. And that's how I inspire my team, that if you work and if you are inspired, I don't have to monitor, but you will see the results in themselves.
Amazing, amazing. I think that's a very nice way of thinking and being, Kejal. Tell me what, after all these years of being in HR, right? What are the things that you still enjoy most about your role, and what are some of those things that that you have to do but you don't really enjoy, right? And be honest in telling us that.
All right. I think what I enjoy the most is still partnering with the business, understanding where they have challenge, bringing solution to them, be it learning, be it talent management processes,
Yeah.
the talent acquisition, the recruitment processes. So understanding with every key stakeholder where is the challenge and how I can support them. I think that's comes naturally, and I really love that to solve the problem. What's a challenging thing as an HR, which I think I really need to work around, is when it really comes to managing the performance management process, right? In the entire exercise brings a lot of toll on you. And more than that, when you have to deal with the non-performers, right? So I think that piece, when you put an employee on a performance improvement program, and to bring that employee out of that non-performance zone, and if not, you have to take a call. I think that's really the low side of being an HR professional.
Got it. I couldn't agree with you more, right? Because that often seems like the most difficult, heart-wrenching part of our jobs, right?
Yes,
That part of, putting people on PIP is often, having to let them go for both their good and your own. But
yes.
being the custodian of that responsibility can be often a, heart-wrenching affair, right? How easy or tough, Kejal, has it been for you all to recruit the right talent? Because every time I speak to HR people, they say we're a country of 1 billion people, 1 billion plus people, yet it's so much of a challenge for us to hire across tier 1, 2, 3. It doesn't matter which tier cities where hiring is a problem. So tell me a little about your take on that.
Right. So I think there are two ways to look at it. When I talk about business as usual, I think we are very proactive, and having worked for years, what we see, we forecast, right? Manpower. We do not stop or wait for any position to come in. We do manpower. We do mapping of the talent across industries.
Got it.
I know if X position is critical for me, through my talent management process, I will map 5 talent externally and keep it ready and engage them also offline.
Got it.
People I know, when there is a position, I can pick up one from the engaged talent. So that talent management process is very robust. However, today the challenge that I'm facing is to bring in diversity in my sales organization.
Got it.
Right. We don't get a lot of many diverse candidates, women especially, to talk about, or LGBT community who would want to join us in sales. If I talk about other functions, support functions, we have good diversity percentage.
Yes.
Sales, we have literally failed. Even if I have to hire a management trainee from a different tier institute, they stay, but the life cycle, their shelf life is not more than a year and a half or 2.
Got it.
So that's an extreme challenge, and we are going all out. We are partnering with various agencies and different steps we are taking. If you see, we are also doing a lot of gender sensitization workshop for our sales employees, so that once the talent is there, how do you even work with them, right? How do you even manage them? That's the challenge of, I think, almost all the sales-driven organizations.
Yeah, I think every organization talks about that same thing. Getting the right talent in the right place at the right cost at the right time is I think a perpetual challenge all of us will face. But I'm glad to know, and I think some of the things that you shared are quite insightful in terms of mapping talent in advance, focusing on that. And I think while y'all are focusing on it in a big way, which is diversity on the sales front, I can tell you that it's a huge challenge, because there's such a big mind block that is there when it comes to sales, when it comes to field sales, that often, like you said, women employees may have, but that's also a large employment area, right? So I'm hoping, exactly like you, that we have a lot of our women employees also look at sales as a very important stream to make careers in, right? Otherwise, they're closing down close to 40% of often employment opportunities, right, across
Absolutely.
the board. So I think that's a very noble thing to do. It's a great thought to kind of do, and if you all succeed at it, that'll be such a good example for so many other companies.
Trying our best
Yeah.
to set the precedence, to set the benchmark for the industry.
Yeah. Because it's also often the sales jobs are, higher CTCs, often incentives attached to that. So it can really be a game changer for women once they start looking at sales more positively as a profile, right? Kejal, I know you have a hard stop in around 3 minutes. So any final words of wisdom that you may have for our audience that are listening, whether they're L&D professionals, HR professionals, or young professionals? What are the final few words that you'd like to say?
Well, I would only say, if you have to become successful, be sincere towards your role, be it any domain. Sincerity plays a very important role. Smart working plays a very important role. Technology, data driven, driving things with technology is very, very imperative. And what's very, very important today is that you have to ensure your employees continuously see a learning trajectory in the organization. That's how you can actually engage your talent when they see a career growth in the organization. So how do you manage your talent management processes, the career growth for them? What is it in for me? If you answer that for your employee, I think you are a successful organization. So that's
Amazing.
very, very important. And yes, organizations like upGrad are always there to support us wherever we're there, to bring us the outside-in perspective and give us the latest technology trends and the content for us. So thank you so much, Swapnil.
Thank you, Kejal. It was a real pleasure having you on this show. And I'm hoping, I know we've not interacted beyond this show, but I hope this is the start of our interactions. I have learned quite a lot from and picked up a lot of things. And I'm so happy that I heard data and AI so many times from you throughout this
Right.
conversation, because at upGrad, we also believe that those skills are extremely important for people to take up, and extremely important for organizations to embrace in a big way. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much, Swapnil, for this opportunity to have this interaction with you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All the best. See you.
Bye.